House Leader of the Third Party.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last fall, I drew a comparison between the amount of money that the Minister of Public Safety and Solicitor General has invested in the RCMPs Controversial Community-Industry Response Group, the CIRG, and the implementation of the Calls to Justice in the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls report. The Minister was furious with this line of questioning, yet transcripts released during court proceedings illustrate perfectly how the RCMP's CIRG unit has dehumanized Indigenous people. Much of the language used in the recordings is inappropriate for this House, Mr. Speaker, but basically the CIRG officers were calling Indigenous people ogres, orcs. They made fun of a neurodiverse person and openly described a high-ranking member of that unit sexually assaulting somebody. Human rights violations, excessive force, illegal tactics, unprofessional behavior, racism, discrimination, a shame on the RCMP, a shame on this minister, a shame on this House. Mr. Speaker, through you to the Minister of Public Safety, is there an ongoing investigation to the alleged sexual assault described by the CIRG members?
Minister of Public Safety and Solicitor General.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. What I can tell the member is that the kind of comments that the member references are absolutely, obviously unacceptable and completely unacceptable. And I think all members in this House would agree with that. At the same time, there are processes and protocols in place for complaint procedures and to deal with this kind of thing, some of which are underway, as you acknowledge a court case. I can also tell the member that part of the work that has been underway in terms of the reform of the Police Act is to deal with these kinds of things, to extend accountability and oversight on our police forces in this province.
House Leader, Third Party Supplemental.
I would imagine, Mr. Speaker, that when the police forces in this province are made aware of a potential sexual assault, that perhaps an investigation would be necessary and not the requirement of the person who is involved in that to have to file a complaint. It seems like the conversation between the members of these units was quite open about what was going on there, Mr. Speaker. The CIRG has vastly exceeded their projected budget year over year. In their first year, in 2019-2020, they were budgeted $920,000, yet they spent $10 million. Each year, this unit continues to receive funding and then blow past their budgets. The RCMP's Civilian Review Complaints Commissioner is currently undertaking a systemic investigation of the CIRG unit, an investigation that has experienced significant delays because the RCMP is not giving them information. The BC Civil Liberties Association, the Union of BC Indian Chiefs have called for the CIRG to be disbanded due to the ongoing human rights violations and harm to Indigenous communities. Mr. Speaker, through you to the Minister of Public Safety and Solicitor General, with the allegations that we heard on tape, the racist and demeaning comments on the record, the picking on neurodiverse people, laughing about an incident that basically amounts to sexual assault, Mr. Speaker, does the CIRG still have the confidence of this minister?
Solicitor General.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and I appreciate the question. As I said a moment ago, we expect police to conduct themselves in line with the standards that are in place for policing, and if they are not, then they should be held accountable for that. Again, I'd say that every member of this House agrees with that. At the same time, the member talks about the budget for the CIRG. Well, the CIRG is established to assist those communities that have been dealing with some of the challenges that we've been facing in terms of protests and in terms of enforcing court-ordered injunctions in this province. And the result of the budget is based on the amount that's actually had to have been spent in order for police to be able to do that job, Honourable Speaker. And the amount is based on a rolling average over the last 3 years. And it started off, as the member said, at $900,000, but what we have seen in some different parts of the province, particularly on some of the LNG pipelines, as a significant amount of resources required in order to deal with some often extremely violent protests. So, Honourable Speaker, our expectation is that those engaged in law enforcement are obeying the laws and the standards in the province in the province of British Columbia and Canada, and at the same time also recognize that they have an important job to do in enforcing sometimes court-ordered injunctions to ensure that legal lawful activity is allowed to take place in our province.